PLC stands for Programmable Logic Control. It helps to control industrial process. PLC transmits the written program from the computer to the relays through the interface circuit and controls and launches the devices according to dimensioned program. This equipment is used in the factories and industrial environments to control multiple home slice ventilation systems, circuit breakers, and other machinery. PLC modules are AutoCAD blocks, which contains features and can be inserted as independent symbols. Let's learn how to insert them into drawing. To do that, in the Schematic tab of the ribbon and also in the Insert Components panel, you can see in the PLC tool and choose the Insert PLC Parametric and the Display the Look box. A list of PLC models are available. You can select the plus sign and also find the desert models, and you select here needed model. The detailed information of your chosen model will be shown in this part. In the graphics, a source of graphical style are given. The first column from 1 to 5 contains predefined pieces thighs, and the other side consists of user-defined pulses styles. Moreover, you can insert PLC module vertically or horizontally by choosing one of these options. To display the report of your selected module, the list button can be used after specifying your required features like graphics, a style module, and the scale. You can select OK button. Then in the command line, you will be prompted to specify the insertion point for your PLC module. Place it wherever you want, and in the next 4 to modulate our dialog box will be displayed. The first area spacing edit boxes for specifying the spacing between the inputs and outputs points of a module. In addition to write the value in this space edit box, you can use the arrow button to change the spacing value. When I change this, pacing back through the lens of PLC is changing. Alternatively, in the next area there are 2 options which make it possible to insert the PLC module completely without any break or inserted with breaks, which means that the module can be divided to several parts based on your requirements. Or you can add a spacer between the inputs or outputs instead of inserting them completely. I will go back to this part and explain it in more details by pressing a button. The next dialog box will be displayed in this part. You have to define the numbers of racks and the slots. As you know, racks are available in different sizes, and depending on the controller requirement to hold the modules together, they are used. These racks are responsible for powering the modules and their signaling connection. Each module occupies a space on the track called the slots by using the arrow buttons on the left side of the rack, or as slots added boxes. You can increase or decrease the values depending on the PLC model. These options can be defined after doing this forward. You can choose OK. And finally, the selected model will be inserted. Sometimes you need to break the module and insert their remained parts of it in order area or another drawing, so you can escape the input-output for adding a space. As you remember, I mentioned this option in the previous parse, which was in the module layout and Allows spaces breaks option. Now back to insert PLC parametric tool. And I'm going to select this module and then go to the next part and insert my PLC module wherever I want. And the next step, a dialog box will be displayed, simultaneously, which has allowed spaces, breaks option. I'm going to choose this option and then choose OK button, and the next step, defining the IRAG in the slot values or just skipping this part without typing any value. And the last dialog box is custom breaks is facing, which allows me to apply the changes. The first selection is inserting the next point, that's why choosing this option, you can insert the next input or output in your PLC model. And as you know, the first one had been inserted when I placed it in the previous step. So I'm going to do that. As you see, the next point is inserted, the next election is added spacer. And then you use it. No point is applied and just the space will be inserted in this section. A cross mark will be displayed. That in the case of space is added. The next one is for breaking U, and if you select this option, as you see, your module will be broken, and then you have to place your module in the other location wherever you want. I insert my PLC and then in the open dialog box for the second time, you can specify the features, like a spacing or input-output points. And this part, based on your requirement, you can insert the points completely or just select allows spaces breaks to make the changes. To explain the last option, the custom breaks spacing dialog box, I select this option, then the last option is cancel, cause them to see, then insert their remain points in PLC module without the spacers or breaks. And finally you can see the inserted PLC module. In AutoCAD Electrical, there is other option in order to insert PLC, which is available in this Schematic tab. A ribbon and Insert Components panel is named PLC Foot Units. The difference between PLC Parametric and Falcons is that PLC Foot Unit allows you to insert a ready-made PLC models. When you select this to the Insert Component, dialog box will be shown and all the policy fixed units are available. You can select your desired units and then select a module. You will be prompted to specify insertion point, and after that, the added PLC module will be shown. You can see the addressing area, which contains first address added bugs and is used to specify the first input-output address for your PLC module, and then this box here, you can select the available input-output address. The other selections are doing and project. When you select, for example, doing option, a list of PLC addresses that have been used and the current drawing will be displayed. The project selection is the same as drawing, but it shows all the input-output point addresses used. In the active project, you can specify the tag name of PLC module and this added box. The other option that I'm going to explain is catalog lookup, which makes it possible to specify the catalog information and search for your desired catalog in the catalog browser dialog box. By selecting OK, you can exit from this parts. The other area is for specifying the point description of your model. There are 5 lines for descriptions you can write here, your desired descriptions. Also, you can use Pick button. And from the current drawing, choose the description that you want. Note that every time that you want to define a description, it will be added to the specified address. Points. For example, here, this address point is entered in the lower part of this area, I mean, next bottom. When you select the next spot and the address point will change to another one. And again, at this part, if you enter any description, it will be specified to the address point written here. For example, I want to add description to this point. So I select this by using next bottom and then write in the description added box my desired value. The next step I can choose, OK, to see the results at this moment. You can see the description you have specified to the address point that you defined. Also, you can change these points' name to do that, and moreover, editing the information of this module, you can just right-click on it and select the edit components. As you can see, the added person will do a dialog box will be shown and you can edit the values that you want here. As I mentioned, I wanted to change this address point. So I write a new value. And by choosing the OK, you can see that the change has been done. You may need to add PLC modules as a child or parent or individual path into a drawing. To do that, you have to select the PLC module from IKEA menu in the Insert Components panel. In the Display dialog box, you can see the menu area, which contains a list of the schematic symbols. I find the PLC and the symbols with the prefix 1 are the pirate symbols and the other symbols with the second prefix are called symbols. Here you can choose your desert symbol and in the next step, you will be asked to specify insertion point, so I'm going to place it. Then the added PLC dialog box will be displayed. In this part, you can specify the input-output address and the description of point and also Catholic data for a parent symbol. You have to pay attention that you cannot assign Catholic information to a child's symbol. After doing that by choosing OK, the model will be placed. This one was a parent symbol, and if you want, you can insert Charles symbol to do that from the item menu selected child components with second prefix and then you will be asked to a specified insertion point. I'm going to do that. And then you have to define parent PLC module for the child you have inserted. I select parent sibling and then as you see in the command line, you will be asked to select PLC module selected PLC module as a parent. And on doing so for the second time, the added PLC dialog box will be displayed. If you don't want to make any changes in this section, you can choose OK. And finally, it can be seen that the child PLC is linked to parents. One in the other hand, they are related together as it is displayed here. Reference number of child is written on parents and vice versa. You will often need to use PLC address as a tag of a component or via numbers, I mean that it is possible to tag a component based on the address instead of a ladder reference number, which is generally Used as a tag. To do that, you have to set options. So just right-click on the active drawing and a show called menu will be shown here. You have to choose Properties and then Drawing Properties and Display Developer. Go to Components tab and you need to select the Search for PLC Address checkbox. Also, if you want to use PLC address as voyeur numbers in the voyeur number type, you need to select Search for PLC Address checkbox. Then I'm going to choose the OK button to exit this dialog box. Now if you insert a new component, it will get the PLC address as a component tag. You have to pay attention to this issue that if the components are already inserted to change the tag. Based on the address and after doing the changes that I had shown before, you have to use Retech tool to apply the changes to the already inserted components. For example, this component tag is not related to the address. Therefore, I use Reselect tool in the Added Components panel and then a new tag will be assigned to my component based on PLC address. Now I want to insert another component and voyageur to show an example. So what I'm going to do is showing the virtue, then is specifying warriors start from one of the PLC points in the last step, selecting the endpoint to terminate the warrior. At this time, I'm going to choose a component, so I go for icon menu here and choose my desired component. And as it is attached to the cursor, I will insert it here in this point. Finally, you can see the component tag is seen as PLC address.